Okay, so here's something that sounds like it shouldn't be true. Take an average full-time worker and one of the richest people on the planet. In a lot of cases, the worker pays a higher tax rate, not a lower one, higher. And no, it's not because anyone's breaking the law. So let's actually dig into how that's possible. A few years back, an investigative report compared the tax bills of some of the wealthiest people in the country to their actual wealth growth. A typical worker pays tax on pretty much every dollar they earn, but someone whose wealth is mostly tied up in stock and property can end up with a tax bill that's a tiny fraction of what their wealth actually grew that year. The worker's number stays high, consistently, year after year. The billionaire's number can shrink down to almost nothing, some years close to zero. So how does that actually work? Turns out, it comes down to a few specific, very legal strategies. The first one's sometimes nicknamed buy, borrow, die. Here's the buy part. You buy stock, and it just sits there, growing in value. As long as you don't sell it, that growth isn't considered income by the tax system. So the trick is simple. Never sell. That's the borrow part. Instead of selling stock to get cash, you borrow against it. Banks are very happy to lend against billions in assets. You get real spendable cash in hand, while the stock stays right where it is, untouched, still growing. That loan money can buy literally anything, homes, jets, whatever, completely tax-free, because a loan isn't income, and this can keep going for decades. Then comes the die part. When the stock passes to an heir after death, its value resets, which brings us to the next piece of this. Second strategy, charitable trusts and private foundations. Money or stock gets moved into a foundation, and the moment it goes in, it can generate a serious tax deduction. On paper, it looks purely philanthropic. But here's the part that raises eyebrows. The person who set up the foundation often still controls exactly how and when that money moves. In some cases, it can even end up benefiting the same family down the line. Legal, just a little more complicated than it first looks. Third, shifting money to lower tax places. Certain countries and territories offer dramatically lower tax rates for the right kind of wealth. So income or assets get legally routed through those places instead of staying put. The difference in what gets paid can be enormous. Companies can also split operations across multiple countries, structuring things so profits land wherever the tax bill is smallest. It's all built into contracts and filings. Nothing hidden, just complex. And perfectly legal, as long as it's done by the book. Fourth, and this one ties everything together, it's called step up in basis. Remember that stock that just kept growing untouched for decades? When it passes to an heir, its value resets to whatever it's worth right then. All that growth from before? For tax purposes, it basically disappears. It's genuinely one of the most surprising parts of how this all works, which loops right back to why nobody ever needs to sell in the first place. So why does all of this exist? It comes down to how the tax code itself is written. Tax law is thousands of pages long, and a lot of these strategies exist because of specific provisions written into it, and a lot of those provisions get shaped by lobbying. Companies and wealthy individuals do influence how tax law gets written. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's just how policy works in a lot of countries. So this isn't people sneaking around the rules. It's closer to the rules being built with room to work this way. There are genuinely different opinions on whether that's fair. Legal? Yes, clearly. Ethically debated? Also yes. One side of the argument, letting wealth grow untaxed encourages investment, job creation, economic growth. The other side, public services, roads, schools, hospitals, rely on tax revenue, and this shrinks that pool significantly. Both of those things are true at the same time, which is exactly why this debate isn't going away anytime soon. It's less good versus evil and more a genuinely complicated trade-off. Wild how much of this is hiding in plain sight, right? Let me know what you think in the comments. Should this stuff be legal or not? If you learned something, stick around. More of these breakdowns coming soon. See you in the next one.